All right, we're gonna call this workshop meeting to order for the Q&A with our two bid packages that we received for the town hall. First up today, we have CPL. We have some questions that we'd like to ask you. There'll be no questions from the audience. You'll receive questions from the town board. You can answer them. Be great. We're gonna have to cut the time down to 45 minutes. Any remaining questions, we will send a email with those questions. If you can respond to them by email in a timely fashion, that would be great. Do you have any questions for us before we get started? Okay, you want to state your name and state your title with CPL?
George Schmidt, your project manager.
Good.
I'm Tim Moot, principal and vice president.
Thank you. First question we have up, what interests you most regarding our project?
Well, I'll start on a very high level. I mean, our brand is a CPL team. And, we have 5 main pillars in our market, and one of them is community. We do a lot of community type buildings, courthouses, town halls, water sewer type projects. So to us being local and George being, the town engineer, we have a lot of history and heritage for the town. So seeing a project that's right within our basically strength zone, and being local really sparked our interest. We've done very large projects, like the size of Orange County courthouse and government building, to very small kind of community type, such as ourselves. So we have the experience of a big city and a great.
Thank you.
George may get some rebuttal.
What is your firm's design philosophy regarding municipality buildings serving small communities?
Design philosophy doesn't change depending on the size of the community or anything of that nature. We'd like to listen to them, sit down and discuss and see what it is that they need. Then formulate a plan from there, have an open dialogue throughout.
We don't design in a vacuum, and it's a very live dialogue between them, whether it's a huge project or a small project. We have a pretty defined process, which whether it's a small project to George Point or a large project, we feel our process is pretty solid, and it opens dialogue and making sure that the customer gets it.
What is your firm's work backlog, and do you have the time to dedicate to this project?
So again, we're CPL team. We have local characters such as George and myself, who live in Kingston. Jonathan Baracco would be the architectural project manager, and he lives in Poughkeepsie. We have the bandwidth to cover all the civil things locally in the Hudson Valley. Jonathan has an architect in the Poughkeepsie office, but because we're team-based and our company is across the eastern seaboard, if we need to pull in resources, whether it's electrical, mechanical, structural, we have all those talents under one roof. Our office in Poughkeepsie is supported by Newburgh, Westchester, Albany, Binghamton. So we have a New York-based core group to facilitate. So backlog is not.
Kevin?
Based on the initial scope provided within the RFP, do you feel that the projected project budget is realistic? If not, what would you anticipate to be a more realistic budget based on current projects you were working on? What would we anticipate as a per square foot cost range?
Take the budget. Recent projects that I've been involved with around here, I would say this square foot cost is probably getting 800 to 850.
I think our architectural team was estimating roughly around $4.8 to $5 million price tag for what you were looking to do.
Say that last one again. That
$4.8 to $5 million versus your 3.75.
Thank you. Next question. What step does your firm take to ensure that accurate project budgets during the development of the project? Did I say that correctly? What steps does your firm take to ensure accurate project budgets during the development of the project? What can we do to help keep our project on target related to our budget?
So as I alluded to, we have a pretty specific design process. It's kind of common and this is a schematic design level, design development, construction development. So we shorthand SD, DD, and CDs is roughly about a 30, 60, and 90% completion through the design process. We would do an updated estimate at each one of those milestones so that we don't venture off into left field and then get surprised. It's an active dialogue.
Okay.
But I also say all these are estimates and we really don't know the cost of the project. So
Actually, Janine,
So as a kind of follow-up to that, I'm just gonna jump to a question that I had, so. Your estimate is at least 1 million over what our town budget was, and you did explain that. But so would we be involved in some sort of value engineering along the way to try to address that? And is that something that you typically do?
and that's part of our design process, so there's multiple ways to look at where your costs are incurred, right? One of them is finishes, like how elaborate is the finishes inside the building. Larger systems like your HVAC, you can go from, like a VW to a Buick to a Porsche on some of your systems that you put in there. We have to design everything per building code. The building code has a minimum requirement on some of your HVAC systems that's required. There's new inspiration out there and maybe some grant funding that you could consciously try to improve the efficiencies of your systems. It's gonna cost more, but there could be some return. And through grants for choosing a more elaborate system than what's required.
Is that like geothermal or? something?
Geothermal would be an option, but I'm even talking more like mechanical.
Okay.
So yeah, but geothermal would be one, solar, or other options. But we have identified this as where the world's going. And we have what we call a sustainability manager, and he is tied into all the grants and everything that's sort of energy related. And, we would bring him in early to a design discussion to see, at what level you would want to take. The higher you take it, the more expensive it's going to be. Then it's where you look at your rate of return and maybe it pays off down the road and it's not necessarily cash. We would give you that kind of dialogue.
And so in that process, when you're bidding, would you then engage with bidders about alternates to save money?
We certainly provide alternates. I wouldn't think that would be a practical option on some of the integrated systems within the building. I mean, if it's an add-on type thing, you can certainly get an alternate cost to see if it fits budget, but to say you're gonna go all with radiant heat as one and then to go with VRF or another, that's sort of apples and oranges, and that would be really two designs on our behalf, so. We would want to pick one Main Street line.
Thank you. And in programming, do you plan to interview all the users?
Absolutely. As I said, we don't design in a vacuum, it's a two-way street. We strongly recommend that there's sort of a committee, not 100 people that have to make decisions, but we would like the user groups. There's courts involved, we need to get an active dialogue with like the court clerk and maybe some judges, certainly the police department, and whatever your day-to-day needs are. You guys know it best, what works and what doesn't. So that's really one of the first steps.
Thank you.
Bobby?
What do you see are the biggest challenges for this project?
Site's pretty small, pretty tight to get. The building, parking, on-site septic, stormwater. It's gonna be a lot to fit in 20.
Is
Assuming we're planning on maybe using some overflow parking in the parking lot next door.
Well, that's a town parking lot anyway.
Right,
but
That's what we were talking about earlier. It's like if you have the ability to use that as flex parking,
That would definitely help.
And the central sewer would help too, right? Because that would save space.
It would help for this situation, it's gonna be very expensive, complicated.
Yeah.
Not to correct.
Next one's gonna be a two-part question. What experience can you bring to this project that will facilitate construction cost savings?
Well, doing this on a day-to-day basis, of course. By having an active dialogue, we could very quickly point out something that maybe gets suggested in committee or whatever, so we want to go look at this, and well, that always costs an extra X number of dollars. So we would be looking out in that regard to try and keep your costs manageable and on your budget. But yeah, it's good to.
I'll add, there's two
Focus.
other options, right? I mean, some larger projects, we encourage an entity to sign on a construction manager and to bring it into the project early. That's certainly another burden of cost. We don't perform construction management by the dialogue of construction management. I think it's legal for us because we're on the professional services side. But we do offer what we call extended construction administration services. And we have people that act as CMs, they have a world of knowledge. We have a lot of local projects going on, so we have real-time construction costs in this region. So I think that goes a long way with the relevant number of accuracy. We also have in-house, as we do the 30, 60, 90, maybe not so much on the 30, but when it gets to 60 and 90, we do our own in-house QA QC. We'll go through every page and every spec page. We'll also perform what we call a page turn with the owner so that they understand what's in every page, and maybe different people are focused on different items on different pages, but the page turn helps explain and make sure those items are included.
And
So
the
that's
sec-
like a 2-year process to get from, to that point with the page turn.
I'd say 1 year.
1 year.
The second part of that,
I was just saying, but that's good to know, like, I know it's gonna take time either way, but a year is actually better. I was hoping for 2, so
second part of that question,
I don't.
what ideas do you have to minimize the capital cost of this project?
Well, I guess honestly, we haven't really rolled up our sleeves to look at that because I think it's the opinion that your RFP was a little light and it could go in any which way. And, part of our kind of recommendation is, while we want to be hired for the whole ball of wax, is like maybe you take the first step and think of your basically schematic design phase. That would help everybody refocus on what we're talking.
Because we don't know cost until we have a design. No, I get what you're
Yeah.
saying, like a lot of people keep asking me like how much it's gonna cost, and I'm like, we don't know that until we actually just.
So with schematic design, we would do floor spacing analysis, we'd have square footage of the building, we have a preliminary site plan. And you start to see where some of the things fit, maybe they don't, maybe what you like, what you don't like. Oftentimes with a tight site, we have to go up, and then you go up, you have an elevator, an ADA, so all these things drive costs, and it's like. Right hand, left hand, what is the driver, right, and what is the consensus?
What are your future needs? And you see it being used 20 years from now. The benefit of maybe taking the first step, starting to focus more of those.
I mean, there's not
cost
wrong
controls
wording
and
the whole
budgets.
thing. It's kind of hard to zero in.
How long do you estimate the design process will take for this project?
And we typically, we can do this in a year or less. But again, if there was a reason to hit pause, then we would hit pause, right? If there's, let's say you can't afford it. And it's obvious that we need to go after some other funding or something needs to happen, then it's probably a good reason to hit the pause button. Stop spending money on a design that you can't actually build, and rethink it, or hold off the rest of it, because maybe the building code changes, and designs don't age well on a shelf.
There's also outside agency approval, so you'd have office of works administration, you'd have the health. And there's other considerations that are sort of out of our control that
Hmm.
happen.
What would you,
Thanks.
what's that?
It's right in the middle, seeker.
Was secret on, because that's another thing that takes a little bit.
Did we do seeker?
No,
We have.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think we
there was a
have
long-
to, yeah.
We're not gonna worry,
Yeah.
we're right, it's right in the middle of town, I don't think we're really gonna.
We still have to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I think it was part of the RFP, full environment assessment.
What would you anticipate the length of the construction process to be for a project of this scale and this scope? Approximately.
Year and a half.
And that's from start to finish, design, the whole 9 yards,
No, that's.
construction.
We say 8 months to a year on design, then bid, then year to a year and a half. Provided whatever total.
What's your experience in getting bidders interested in these projects?
Well, we have a pretty good track record. I mean, we always work with the municipality to go through like BidNet, so you're covered publicly. We do a ton of K-12 school work, so we have sort of our own little private BidNet. I mean, it's all above board, but we have a subscriber listing. And it just goes out to make sure other local contractors are more aware than just BidNet. which would be the state.
And so your history, recent history is that you're able to
We're able
get
to
a
get
lot of
them,
bidders?
we're doing a city of Newburgh pool. And we got everybody but an electrician, we're like, what are you kidding me? So then, you know, we had to rattle our K-12 group and then we got it. So it works. We do need to be cognizant though of the school construction season. Because they tend to glom all the local contractors and they're working, you know, from end of June to end of August. We want to be out ahead of that curve. We want to be bidding like January, February to get ahead of that so people know. So that's what we
Okay.
need. That helps.
What professional or special services do you find needed but not included in the scope of the projects?
Well, we had survey, geotech. Oftentimes there's what we call third-party testing, so that's like compacting, concrete testing. That's all part of the contract, that's the specs. You'll have a backflow preventer, I don't know. Those who has some certification, but yeah, all that's been included in our proposal, but it's been out overall outside. I know there was some stuff.
But it is included.
Yeah, so
So what skills does your team have to manage and fast track the construction phase of this project?
well, again, I mentioned we have this extended construction administration services. Our project architect, George, as the senior project on the civil side. We generally perform, I think it's at least a weekly meeting to track progress. We do the review of the pay recs to make sure as they're putting progress payments in that the work is completed. We may do a separate weekly meeting with the owner, just with you guys to make sure there isn't anything you're hearing or seeing, or maybe there's more personal dialogue that we need to have as professionals with the owner and bring in the contract.
You provide minutes of all the meetings?
Absolutely. And through design.
What is your experience with NYSERDA and what NYSERDA opportunities do you foresee for this project?
So that one, I'm gonna say, remember I mentioned our sustainability.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna pretend that I can touch the tip of the iceberg of what he knows, so. I did, one thing that was gonna come up, I did have him print out like just two flyers I can leave tonight, one on.
and who is this?
This is Greg Royer, he's just, I don't know that he made the team. on
He
there.
did, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as far as
Okay.
sustainability,
Yeah, okay,
he knows everything that is out there from NYSERDA, and that's gonna be up and coming with this. Yeah, so there's two, I mean, how many, so there's a geothermal packet in there and also on sustainability, we're actually working on more tailored specific solar stuff, but,
Well, it's the way of the future, right? I mean, you've
we're
got.
recognizing that that's the way we need it. But I can get you more specific answers in the evening.
And so the only sub-consultant that you're using is Richard for cost estimating?
Yes. No, geotechnical survey, but he would be the estimator, so when we're doing our 30, 60, 90, we're bringing in an outside estimator, so it's not.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh, Janine,
Yes.
you want to touch base on, your first two or your second?
Oh, what's the status of the town hall in Pleasant Valley?
Who wants to know?
I just, I just saw that as one of the,
So that's a
Projects
project
and-
I have been personally involved in since 2011.
oh
And
my
as-
goodness.
As you all know, you have 2-year terms. So do the math on how many years I have dealt with since 2012. But I'm happy to say we're gonna be going to bid in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's gonna be across from Four Brothers, right, in that area?
And that, where
Yeah.
that plot
That
the
That's
building-
that
strip
strip
mall.
mall was, yeah.
And keep in mind now, that's a renovation, so that's got
Right.
a little added twist. Full disclosure, I mentioned Office of Courts, we've done a ton of courts work in this region. And honestly, this is no fault of CPL, I can prove it in the court of law. But we have prompted our contact numerous emails, numerous phone calls, and we got nothing. As we're moving toward our 90% dialogue, and then finally we had to give, it was either the court clerk or one of the judges to call Office of Courts and say, hey, what are we, paying no mind with? And turns out our guy had retired. He gave the workload to a second person that retired. And now there was a stack of work sitting on somebody's desk with everybody doing the meetings. But I can honestly say, as soon as we got in contact with the right people, we turned the court approval around in 2 weeks.
And they have secured the funding for it.
They have a
Okay.
grant. They got a grant quite some time ago, and we're trying to get them, or they're working on some sort of NYSERDA grant on a mechanical piece. And then I think they're just bonding the rest. It's been, trust me, I want to see it done just like.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wow.
This is curious, because I remember when they purchased that.
Yeah.
What do you foresee as a suitable HVAC system for the building?
I will tell you as a novice, I'd like to follow up with an email on that, but most are going with these BRF type. Mitsubishi units like what you got is. Seems to be the way of the future. I don't know for sure, I gotta make the list. I'll just also qualify that I'm a licensed geologist, I'm a dirt guy. I really don't do colors or buildings. I bring to the table like groundwater supply and storm, but as my role as VP, I'm more of the team leader and bring all the necessary people together. I have full confidence in George and Jonathan, who would be your kind of day-to-day people, but I'll give you all my cell phone, you can call me anytime. I'm like the mediator.
Based on the size of the building, do you see that, this will require a sprinkler system?
Yes.
Can we just do a ramp instead of an elevator if we must do the second floor, just like a long meander?
Oh my gosh. That would be like a roller coaster.
I don't want another elevator.
Well, I think that's probably why the RFP says 1 floor, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's what I was assuming. But yeah, ramp internally takes up a lot of
It does
space.
take
and
up
Oh
too much.
You only have a certain length and you've got to stop and have a landing, so you can't even just continuously gain an elevation. Yeah, it's very expensive. I don't see a ramp inside there.
Elevator might have to-
There any other issues that you guys could think of that,
The water line, actually, there was a project a few years ago that brought water down to, what is that, Maple, I believe, just up the
Yes.
street?
Yep.
And it's capped. That thought was always to continue all the way down to 199. Now the RFP asks for 300 feet, that gets you to this parcel. So then you're gonna have basically 500 feet of 4-inch left where you get into the. So the one thing that you usually want to be done is just
Extend the
extend
water.
that water main. There's no 4-inch left.
Come on in.
So, your fee proposal is significantly higher than other bids. Can you explain that?
So there's kind of two metrics when we look at projects. One is sort of a standard percentage of the cost of the estimate. And that's like a rule of thumb, and we could do like, 6%, 7%. It's usually larger the cost of the project, the lower our percentage. The second way is to basically we do internally, and if you want to hire us, I'll show you this. But I want to show you that we did it, and it's like I said, we have a pretty solid process. So we developed a work plan for this project. So our work plan consists of about 635 labor hours put toward your entire project. And this is, I mean, this doesn't include really construction and some other stuff, but I just want to tell you, I mean, if we use the percentage rule, it's a smaller fee, with smaller costs, and you would think it's a smaller fee, but from our perspective, we can't change our standards, we can't change the way we do things. And as we spoke earlier, a large project or a small project, we have a pretty high set of standards. And we've been through this type of project, this type of process numerous times. We talked about department approvals, health department, office of courts, all that stuff takes time. It's effort. And I think if you looked at our fee and you hear what we're saying about maybe a 4.8 or a $5 million project, it puts our basically our percentage rate in. So I can't speak obviously for what others submitted on, but I can tell you ours is a pretty.
Okay, thank you.
You have anything else? Matt, you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Bobby? Good. Kevin?
You good?
All right, thank you, guys.
You guys have anything for us?
So I'll do 2 email responses. I'll get Greg to give a forecast and update on NYSERDA. And so we'll give them to you, Brian. the
Yep,
responses,
and then I'll forward them out. Yep.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Good night.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you guys. Nice meeting you.
Thanks.
Well,
Nice meeting you.
Thanks,
Josh. We wouldn't be in the same room.
Good night. I'll shake your hand.
Um,
It makes field work a lot easier.
Can I get a motion to go into a break?
So moved.
I'll make that move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Third.
Aye. A motion to come out of our break,
So moved.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 2, yep. We have our second bidder, Labella. Did I say that correctly?
La Bella, yes.
La
let's put
Bella?
it out.
If you could just state your name and your position in the company
Absolutely,
for the record?
sure. Pasquale Marchese, I'm Senior Project Manager and Eastern Region Architecture.
My name is Rich Campanola. I'm an architect and code enforcement official, and I am the manager of the Building Code and Life Safety Center.
So, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna ask you a series of questions, just if you can give us your answers. If you cannot answer them at this time, if you could email us back with a response. And then if we develop any more questions, past tonight's meeting, we'll email them out to you guys. If you can get us back an answer in a relatively quick fashion, that would be, great. Okay, you guys got any questions for us before we get started?
Now, this time, I think we start the conversation and then any question will come up.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Janine, you wanna start off?
Oh, okay. So in regard to programming, do you plan on interviewing all users?
Yes.
Yes. And what will that look like? Tell me how you do that.
So what we usually do in this situation, and actually we work in 2 small towns also currently. So we interview all the end user like you mentioned, so in this case will be the police department, the court, probably the judge and the clerk, and then the town, this town hall employee and all the supervisor and so, because we have to understand how you guys operate.
Yeah.
We can design the best town court or the best town hall or the best police department on this world. But then it doesn't meet your requirement, your security, we're not doing it. So for us, where we start, just kick off meeting at the beginning, we highlight the space, then we go with the diagrammatic layout to make sure that the relationship between the different space are met. Because sometimes the clerk need to talk with the judge, with this judge or with the other judge. Or the clerk has multi usage, they work for the town, work also for the court. So that's both. Or also the police department going to incorporate in a court area, or the court area with all the cell, everything will be itself. So those things here we need to discuss again. It's your building. We have to understand how you operate and then we will put it together.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, sorry.
Sure, just typically to expedite that process, we'll probably start off with some questionnaires in advance. So when we sit down and meet, there's already a preamble of what we want to discuss and we can explore further.
Great.
We'll then summarize that into a program.
Go ahead again, Janine. Go ahead. again.
Me?
So-
Okay. So who was the team that worked on the Dutchess County Justice and Transition Center and the Law Enforcement Center? Is it a similar team or a
It's a
different?
similar team, but the 2 gentlemen, they were in charge of the project that are from our Rochester office. So for this meeting, we don't want you meet people that they were not they oversee the project, but they will not be able to talk about the project. Me and Rich will be the face, you will meet with us. I will be the project manager and Rich has the experience with port, police department, essential facility and stuff like that.
So, I'm also a code enforcement official for Dutchess County on contract.
Oh,
And
okay.
annually, I inspect all their courts, their office buildings, the justice center. I do an
Okay.
annual inspection for them.
Right. So you had a lot of working knowledge anyway.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
So we try to bring the team who will work on the project. Because if I bring somebody and then after 2 weeks we working, you say, where's the guys?
Right.
But they are present for resource, because they have also, it's market leader, so that's the reason we put it in.
So there were 3 people mentioned in your, outlined in your team organization that we didn't have bios on.
So,
So that was, Joe Rodriguez,
Yep.
Dana,
Yep.
and, yeah, and. Colin.
so for those people, so we put the main people on the org chart, we get a full team.
Yes,
And resume, we put all people that all they come to the interview or the leader, the market leader for BE, for building engineer, we have one. I will be the architect part, then there is a landscape architect, so we can put it, or the proposal will be probably 200 pages. Everybody. So we try to be conscious of the paper.
That's really the benefit of us being a multidisciplinary firm. We have all the disciplines necessary to support this project. We don't have to depend upon sub-consultants who maybe we know, maybe we can get a
Yeah.
hold of. It's a matter of us going across the hall.
right, okay, great.
How long is your design process, do you think? How long do you think that would?
Yeah, I think, again, it's, for us, it's not like a project, for us, it's a partnership, right? And I don't say that just because, powered by partnership, I always think that, when we start a project, we have to know our client. It's like for a house, like early I mentioned, it's your facility, it's not ours. So we have to listen. So it depends that maybe 3 meetings are enough, maybe they are 9. But we want to make sure that at the end, the final product will meet your expectation, it will meet your need, probably current and future. Because, we had some discussion because we went through all the town of Pine plans, just see what's the future road of town, and Richard did a really good study. That's the reason we brought this. Because we want to discuss what's the idea of if we need to expand the design of the town hall that we will provide. What's the expectation or what's the plan to extend?
Mhm.
So we will talk about that later.
Okay,
It's designed not just for your needs now, but we gotta look into the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
This is a long-term commitment and long-term building.
Mhm.
A lot of things that we normally see take time is not only us getting information, from you and sharing our design, but then you have to go to the public with this as well. And that's the time factor. How long is that gonna take to get the rest of the voters on board with the project?
So that's the reason we go with the step process. So we will provide the same schedule. And it's a tentative schedule, right? It can be 6 months, it can be 9 months, it can be a year. But every step is going to be done until you guys say, okay, now we can push to the next step. And the programming obviously is the most part. Some programming takes, a month and a half, sometimes take 3 months.
Mhm.
Because we really have to understand more, we are in vacation season and you guys are not available to meet, we have to delay. So those things here, things happen in life, right? So, I think for a project like this, I think the design probably between 6 and 9 months. It's a good, kind of good estimate. But again, it's an estimate. There are a lot of criteria and a lot of steps that comes when we design those facilities. Because again, you have 3 different departments. The 3 different departments have a different kind of security requirement. They have different people involved. So we have to meet with the different people, make sure that we understand all their expectation and requirements. So,
Did the projects at the Justice Center and, the Law Enforcement Center, did they, come within budget?
That's those did.
Yeah.
Those were carefully tracked by both the county as well as the design.
And, what about the projects, the completion schedule?
Completion schedule, I think there were some issues that I understand, I know going through the code review portion of that. To be honest, we were still looking at what to do with the old facility and how that's gonna be, but I'm even still involved with their fire safety plan for how the facility gets managed. So it's an ongoing thing. It's not just when you start the design, here's the keys, have a nice day. It's a long-term commitment beyond that. You'll be in warranty periods, maintain the facility, so you have an understanding not only how the facility operates on day one, but what may happen along the way, or
Mhm.
how you're gonna maintain it, how you're gonna use it.
But it came within budget.
Yes, it is.
So most of your projects seem to be bigger than our project. No, okay.
We got a wide variety. I don't know, with this example, we're down in the village of Pauling.
Okay,
My staff is the building inspectors down there. We're looking at water, sewer, and other infrastructure that's going on there. The porch of the building that got damaged.
Mhm.
So we see a wide range of projects. Yeah,
Okay.
yes, because we're a big firm, we do get bigger projects, but there's an awful lot of small ones, from roofs and
yeah.
simple projects and things like that.
Sorry, actually, Dutchess County, because we have a term contract with Dutchess County for A&E service. I just received an email. They want us to put it together, a proposal for a renovation of 2 bathrooms.
Oh, okay.
So we do a full range.
So, and we work.
So we're not
with-
too small. for
No,
you.
we work
Okay,
with
got
the
it.
town of Armenia, we work with the town of Armenia, they are architect there. We did their feasibility study for the new DPW garage,
Mhm.
and now we are going for, there is an RFP for the full design. We working with the town of Livingston, just across in Columbia County, but still.
Yeah.
Outreach here, because when I passed the intersection with the Allentown gas station. For you, I go straight, and for them, I go left. Actually, right, sorry. Right.
And Ray can probably tell you, we're working on the county 911 center.
Okay. Great, thank you.
What is your firm's work backlog and do you have time to dedicate to this project?
So we have a good backlog, right? But we're looking, we always as a leader and local leader, I would say, we always looking. Not just the current, but we're looking 3, 6, 9, 12 months ahead. Because that's where we have to do. So we have staff, that's the reason we put it there. So the stuff we put together is between, because the specific requirement you put in the RFP. And we have those service in the eastern region, so because we are the leader of the eastern region, that's the reason we have a staff in Glen Falls office, Lathrop, Poughkeepsie and White Plain. And we pull expertise or needs in all of those offices, because you have a help with the grant. We have a planning department that does only grant, look for the grant, write the grants, and help to secure the grant for small town or bigger town. So we work, and the same thing for MEP architecture and stuff. But again, we have a good backlog, but it's not like if I commit with something, I will now let go. That's
Successful firms should be busy. If they're not, that's the question.
yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
If somebody is not busy in the current time, that means there's a.
We'll find the same thing with the contractor.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't want to tell you, oh, no, we're not busy. You said, what do you mean you're not busy? It's
Right, right.
But everybody's busy out there.
What is your firm's design philosophy regarding municipality buildings serving small communities?
You did the research. I think. You want to go ahead?
Well, I think in a lot of the ones we do, it's the nature of the community. We can't come in here with a modern commercial building that's gonna sit on Main Street. It's gotta reflect the aesthetic, the appeal of that community. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've done the design and overseas a lot of buildings that had to fit in a rural character. I did the Queenan's Fire Station, which was, an Article 78 was filed against the project. Because they didn't want to see this in their historic district or next to their historic district. We went through and we showed and presented a design that was actually became the basis of the historic district by the time it was done. But knowing and understanding how it has to meet and, the appeal of the community that's going to be living with this facility, as well as yourselves overseeing.
And actually, our planning department works with some of those little town and work through their standard. Like if it is a village, if it's an historic, we work and put together a standard that any designer coming into town, they have to follow. So, we are doing, and I know because I'm not directly involved, but I have one of my designer helping one of the planner put together the manual. They serve as a guideline for those living in town for, architectural guideline or requirement for this specific town.
Based on the initial scope provided within the RFP, do you feel that the projected project budget is realistic? If not, what would you anticipate to be a more realistic budget based on current projects you are working on? What should we anticipate as a per square foot cost range?
You want the real answer on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
We sure
so first, let's start with the scope. Okay, so you have three departments. Right now, we're working with the town and the scope is similar for you guys. In regarding, just the court, it's just town court. There is no town hall, there is no police department. We are about 5,000 square feet just for the court. With 2 judge chambers, 4 clerks, really similar like yours, really similar. Police, small police area with the holding cell, conference room for the district attorney, conference room for the defense, where they can meet with the potential prisoner. So I think it's the square footage, having 3 different departments in that square footage, we can make work. Or maybe we have to find a way to have shared services and maybe, the space will be maybe a little bit smaller than, to fit everything in the 6,000 square feet. So that's the scope. As far as the budget, right now, if we do the 3,750,000 plus all the other work on the site, we took apart the 750 and we say, okay, 750 for the 300 linear feet for the water main on the front, and then some site work. So we say, let's say that's 350, the 750. We have 3 million. If we divided the 3 million by the 6,000 square feet, we have $500 square feet. That budget per square feet is possible for the town hall, but for the court area and for the police department, you need a little bit more. You go on a 7, maybe 750, because your security level raises. And plus you have a full basement, so the basement is not even counted. So what are we doing in this case? I didn't want to put all those stuff in the proposal because I didn't want to overwhelm you with information. I said, if I get shortlisted, we will have the opportunity to talk with you guys. We want to take a step, like I said, a step approach. Start with the feasibility study, get exactly what you need, and then from there create a budget that can work for the facility and for the town, and then move forward with the final design. I think telling you now, oh, this is fine. I will like because we had project. I bid 4 or 5 projects in the last 3 months. At the beginning of the summer, everything came on in budget, lower budget. I bid the one we bid for Ray, another one we bid for, I think Saratoga, small addition, they came almost double or more than double of the price.
So we have very limited bidders.
And we got limited bidders. So it depends on the time when you bid and depends on how you structure your bid. So
So the answer is that our budget is too low.
it's true.
So we, I think that was 6,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Correct, and at 750 a square foot, that's like 4.5.
Yeah.
And
But
you see that-
750 is for the most secure area.
Okay, so
the
not
town
not
hall-
for the whole thing.
Yeah, this is really comes a code issue in a sense, because the police is involved in the building, the structure needs to be classified as an essential facility. What that means in the code, it has to be standing during the worst cases, wind, snow, seismic earthquakes. It has to be standing when all the other buildings fail. That adds a lot to the structural cost. And because you have both functions in the same building, the entire building needs to meet those requirements. A lot of cases where we're doing that, it's where it's possible, even though they may be adjoining, is to separate the two structures. So but the problem then usually arises is, well, where are the utilities coming in from? You can't have the utilities coming in and running to the other portion of the building, and they're cut off. So a lot of this adds to the cost of the building and requirements.
Which if you looked at our proposal that we sent out to you guys, we were actually utilizing the courtroom as a meeting room as well.
Right.
So
Right,
we're
that's
doing
okay, but
dual
it's the
function.
police
Yes,
that adds the essential
Yeah.
facility requirements. Unless you're gonna make your town hall an emergency operations center for any reason, that usually will go to county, something like that, right?
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that'll definitely trigger the cost. The other thing we looked at is the basement.
Right.
It's depending how you wanna use it, what's gonna be down there? Do we have accessibility? Looking at the site, it's relatively flat. In order to get access, if that basement doesn't have access and openings in so many areas, one has to be sprinkled. The rest of the building doesn't have to be, nothing's triggering. I know that was, one of our things that we wanted to look at. But if we add that, then it's a question also, how are you gonna make it accessible, depending on how you're gonna use it. Is the police gonna keep stuff down there,
Right.
records down there that employees and other have to get to? Now you got accessibility issues.
Mhm.
And the site may not readily lend itself without a substantial amount of work and alteration. Those are things that, as Paz said, we're gonna find out during the initial feasibility.
Mhm.
To say, what can you do within the budget? Will that satisfy your requirements, or do we have to look at something else, alternatives?
Mhm.
So before we get into big rolls of killing trees and plans and spec books and things like that, those things gotta be answered up front. That'll define your project.
And that's that's actually the approach we try to take with any of our buying, the bigger as well. Because it's benefit to everybody, at least you guys, before what to expect
Mhm.
when you move forward with the town.
And so the next six, wait, what steps does your firm take to ensure accurate project budgets during the development of the project? What can we do to help our project keep on target related to our budget?
We talk about the budget already, so, I think we have in-house estimator. And we can do accurate estimator in the house. So once we do the feasibility study, we can do a little bit, not just the square footage, but we can give some additional information because again, are three different area, they need three different kind of square footage, right? So, that is the first step, and then while we working through, and I think you are already in the RFP, you request we estimate phases. So we will have, that's what, so if we arrive at the first, if we start, we are already out of our budget. So we know, okay, what do we want to do? What's its a want and what's its need? And then we start to, because at the beginning, everybody wants everything, right?
Yeah.
Maybe at the end, we have a facility of 10,000 square feet. Can you guys handle 10,000 square feet?
Mhm.
And then we start to tailor base, okay, we really don't need this, we really don't need that. Let's make smaller. Oh, this is bigger, this waiting room for the public going inside of the courtroom is too big, let's make smaller. Is the Megatron, the metal detector, how much space we need for them, but with the court officer say there. So those things here we can look together. But at the end, we have to understand really the big picture, and then we go down.
Mhm.
Really for costs, as Paz said, we have the in-house staff. I'm not gonna go and tell them we gotta get the cost estimators from another firm. We've got construction managers that we've hired, design builders, who do this and will give us detailed estimates. And not only that, we work, because we're a big firm, we have access to a lot of manufacturers reps. We can find out what materials are available, what's long lead materials, what are the best options at looking at different systems and materials. Again, you're looking at a building that you want to have for 50+ years. well, what materials go into that will last 50 years? And because we have that network of people that we can draw upon, it's not just us either opening up a Lean's book and looking at a square foot cost or depending upon some sub to give us a cost estimate.
Yeah, we have data, and we start to collect data with all leads we get in. Then we have data, we check, okay, what kind of building is this? What's the finishes, what's there, okay, how much they costed, all the people come in for that.
That allows our clients to then, when we have this detail, as we say, okay, where can we value engineer what we have?
Yeah,
Can we do an alternate flooring or an alternate material, alternate system to get where we want to be within the budget and still have something that, again, will last?
What do you see the biggest challenges for this project?
I think it's the understanding of what's the existing, because as Rich mentioned, those 2 houses they already demo.
It's gone.
So, yeah. So
It's an
we need
empty
to-
lot.
Huh?
It's an empty
It's
lot.
empty lot,
Where are the foundations?
yeah, where's the?
Cool.
They're gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's up,
Clean
yeah.
It's a clean slate right there.
yeah.
So they didn't just level it,
No.
they took out everything.
Oh, yeah.
below.
And I mean, at the end of the day, we own this lot too.
Right.
Well, it is our, you know what I mean, it is our parking lot, but I mean, we do own that lot as well. You know, so if there's like on the back
For
part of it,
overflow parking or
but
something.
even like if, we own.
Right, that was our initial concern with what is the unforeseen on the site? What could still be buried there? Was there any due
We
diligence
had it
done
all,
with
yeah.
tanks and everything that?
So we bought it, again, we had it all, yeah.
Nothing.
But that's part of the initial due
It
diligence.
all,
we're
yeah,
gonna wanna
it all
make sure.
came down and during COVID, everything, we
Yeah.
did properly, so everything's gone.
The other thing sort of concerned about with the site is the septic.
Yeah,
What are the soil conditions? Without again doing geotech and perk tests beforehand. Concerned, are we gonna have enough perk and things like that? It's gonna be a. decent
You will
septic
not have a problem with the soil with perk.
That is
Well,
sure.
So you can be assured of that.
All right, we're gonna put that in the contract.
We are famous for our soil here.
right.
This
I'm
is all
wondering about the
glacier
size,
gravel.
But the size of the site, what's your feeling about the size of the site?
The size of the site, again, knowing you have the adjoining parking and things like that, that'd be maybe the question. You've got two different multiple functions on the site.
Mhm.
Well, you separately need a place for safety, vehicle storage and things like that and bringing in holding areas, things like, you got court coming in. You've got to accommodate public coming into the building, not just for court, but for building departments and other functions that service the town, as well as all your employees. You know, it's a little tight out there when we pull in.
And we don't have many people here.
We got a lot of spot.
But back to the police thing.
Mhm.
So this is something new that I'm hearing about that. If the design separated that building and it could save us significant money, but still had an adjoining piece or something like that. Do you think that site could support something like that?
That may be a question. And when I'm saying separate, it's never less expensive to build two buildings as opposed to.
No, but you're saying it could be adjoining and then
Right,
we
you can
wouldn't
have a
have to make
seismic
those things.
separation between, two.
Right.
That's one way of looking at the design.
So,
But again, you have to look at how systems, are you gonna have two separate systems to support those?
well, no,
Right,
would be the
So
answer.
then it all
but-
has
but-
to be able to run the one, right?
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that need to be worked out when you have those kinds of functions.
Yeah, okay.
And probably we need to talk with,
That's useful.
so like town court. Even though they are not part of the New York State court system, but they still review, make sure that everything is done right.
Mhm.
So they want to see the New York State court system, they still want to see your final design, and final stuff, even though they are not dictate the regulation. And the same with police, sometimes we done some police department, they don't have all the luxury, maybe if there is a state of emergency, they have another place where they go. So those things, we have to understand your operation, so they will, again, it's conversation, open conversation with all the end users.
What experience can you bring to this project that will facilitate construction cost savings?
again, we have a construction manager and on the team, and we have a construction administrator on the team, so.
I think also it's our knowledge of all the different
Right.
types of building systems. We've done essential facilities in timber frame construction.
Mhm.
That's one way of looking at it, as opposed to brick and mortar type construction. There's an obviously economic savings, but there's also energy value in some of the things we can do. We can put much more insulation into a frame building as compared to a masonry type building.
What would you anticipate the length of the construction process to be for a project of this scale and scope?
Well, if you stay 6,000 square feet, I would say between 9 and 15 months. Probably 12 and 15, not 9. I think even though it's a small building, I think at least 12 months, because you will have maybe you will have some long lead items they need to pre-procure. So, but I think in 12 to 15 months, it's not a big deal. Like
We are looking at electrical switchgear and things like that a year, just to get it in. And you remember, this is a public works project with multiple prime contracts. We're gonna be looking at submittals first, to make sure it's what we specified for what you're expecting to get. Then they can release orders and things like that. But there's a process that's gonna have to go on just because it's a public works project. We'll then have a substantial completion date and inspection.
Yeah.
Typically, and then 30 days after that, a final, because they're gonna have to get in all their closeout paperwork and things like that. That's usually where the overall time frame comes from.
So what professional or special services do you find needed but not included in the scope of the project?
I think, yeah, I like very much everything.
Pretty much we covered things, I'm just thinking. Services that we haven't done. We've talked about potential contamination that we understand if that's already been all taken care of. I don't know, it's a county route, Main Street, whether traffic studies or something like that may be mandated by county planning board.
Yeah, honestly, because we have everything in the house, I think sometimes we just. We have everything.
Right.
Mhm.
Unless, not part of the scope, and I don't know if it's part of your budget, whether there's interior furnishings, fixtures and equipment. We're not planning on taking out tables and chairs
Right,
and those kind of things, so no interior decorating as part of it. There wasn't really a mention about landscape design, so, we were gonna have grass, things like that, but pretty plantings, there's no set design. Typically, I mean, honestly, a lot of the projects that we do, that's usually community based.
Probably what would happen here too. What skills does your team have to manage and fast track the construction phase of this project?
I like the previous question, we have.
There is some redundancy in the question.
It's our in-house.
You've sort of
staff.
answered some of it,
Right.
the way you've gone.
Yeah,
But
so working close, I say name, John Dinelli, Delaney. He's our lead for construction manager. He has built a company. And now he's kind of say, okay, that's it, I don't wanna deal with it, and then he's working with us for the last.
who is this?
John Delaney, I don't know if it's there because he's there for estimation.
No, I didn't think we got that either.
No.
No, maybe we didn't get it, but yeah, I worked with him, sometimes. I put my hands in my head because he goes too deep in the information and stuff, and I say, okay, give me just the answer then.
Yeah.
But I appreciate how helpful he's working with him. So I think the skill that we have and for construction costs and construction schedule, we have in the house. We talk firsthand with those people. It's not like, oh, we have a consultant or we have to hire somebody. It's right there. I know how it works. He knows how most of our company works. Because his team, he has a team of, I think, 20 people deal with most of our estimate for our company. So that's the skill and the knowledge we bring. like it's the chemistry through the team.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you're gonna have somebody on site to see, to evaluate all the payment recs and approve them and
Yeah,
provide.
you have
minutes to-
included 500 hours. of
500,
that
yes.
basis.
yep.
Which I think, over a 12-month period, that worked out to about 40 hours a week, or 40 hours.
What is your experience with NYSERDA, and do you see any NYSERDA opportunities for this project?
Yeah, so. Opportunity, I cannot tell you yet. Again, we have to evaluate a little bit overall the building. Our experience with, and I said that I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Building of Excellence. It's one of, now it's at the 5th round. I worked with, and I said that I put it together, the first RFP that came out 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Because I'm also on the board with AIA New York State of the Architect, American Institute of Architects. So I was president 2 years ago also, but now I'm president of Architect. So we are, La Bella is a flex tech company. That means that NYSERDA, actually we have a contract with NYSERDA. We review any company, any town, any school, they go after any grant with NYSERDA, we help to review those applications. And we have a department with the energy department that they do working just with NYSERDA. And we have, so it's part of also energy commission, it's called. So they do commissioning and they do also the department for the energy, it's part of the NYSERDA.
Okay, new construction program is probably gonna be most applicable.
Right.
There may be some specialty things depending on what options we look at, whether it's solar, or whether you have electric vehicle charging. There are other programs involved. There's also national grid programs that we looked at. Central Hudson has programs.
And you got here, it's Central Hudson.
Yeah.
Yes,
Central
it is.
So right now, Central Hudson is about 1 year for a transformer. If you're lucky. And it's a size that they can have procure in 1 year. Or it's going 18 months to 24 months.
Wow.
And we working with Newber School. And we were lucky because a client because they said, oh no, they made mistake on the load. So they went with 750 kW and they said, no, we need a bigger. So we had 2 on the shelf and we were lucky not on the shelf, but they could procure in 1 year.
Okay, what do you foresee as a suitable HVAC system for this building?
Well, right now we working with a lot of DRV. Heat pump, that's full heat pump. You guys have gas here? Is gas available? Also, you have
No.
propane?
We have propane.
Propane, yeah. A lot of things goes with electric. Right now, a lot of people, with electrifying New York, we know where the governor is proposing for the next few years. Some jurisdiction are waiver that requirement that they can reach, was 2030 and now they push 2035, I believe, to have net zero, no carbon fuel situation. In fact, actually, the city of Albany, we were doing 2 small projects, and a guy was going to sell a gas stove, say no, because we cannot sell anymore. So even vendors are getting scared to have available like gas equipment, because they say we're not going to sell if everything is going electric. So I think electrical would be the most feasible, but you guys had in the list the geothermal or some other system. You can look for solar. Obviously, solar, there is a upfront pay before you start to get back your money. I know I don't know for a town if you can get all the incentive that private get it. So we can look through all those grants. And again, our planning department, that's the one that will with you guys, see what kind of grant you, you get procure. You know, based on the site, so I don't know in this case, like for Armenia. For Armenia, they secured a few grants because the current DPW garage is in a flood zone. So to move a flow out from the flood zone and build another place, actually you get a grant.
Mhm.
And then did you guys use, I don't know if you use or you had any ARPA grants, stuff like that. So those here, we working with a lot of municipalities and, you know, we help to now spend those money. Because there is always
We've used all ours.
You use.
You're probably best off with an air-to-air system. Probably is our first choice.
Yeah, because we had a generator, backup generator and that ran off propane, so I was just wondering if you thought about propane if you're putting the tank in.
Yeah, since you'll have it there.
Yeah. But, you know, you have to, again, you have to think of the future too.
Yep.
You know,
Based on the size of the building and the outline, do you feel the building would have to be sprinklered?
Otherwise, I can answer that.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Based on the number of people, the only thing that's gonna trigger it is 100 people in the room. The question will be the basement. Right, the basement, unless you have the access on one side with an exterior stair, ramp, things like that, is required to be sprinkled.
The whole building,
The
No,
fire area, the basement.
Just the basic.
just the basement, okay.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna get to the point, well, I'm already doing that. Should I be doing the entire building?
Right.
Anybody goes down there.
Because that will also affect your insurance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are there any other issues we haven't asked you guys about that you'd like to tell us about that you've seen?
We'll talk about all your study with all the future development and.
Well, yeah, we looked at, we did take a look at the comprehensive plan and what the goals were for this site, and what we want to do with it. I think it's good. I mean, I'm not sure that just this project is going to change the world and do all that. It's a good start, it's a good focal point, but it may require other things to be done, whether here on the site or locally in the site, to generate those kind of results of what you want to do to revitalize and everything. Yes, this is bringing it into the hamlet and everything is a main goal of what this project will achieve.
Right.
But other things to keep people there and to bring them and revitalize will take other efforts. This can be the model for how that may happen, but in the long term, I think that's how it's going to be presented to the public in the village. Here's what we want to achieve. We're doing this. What else can the community do to support it?
Community center, everything, you know, because you want to keep everything together in the same spot, so.
Recreation activities, things like that. Sidewalks along, the
Yeah.
street that will move the public and invite them in. If the ability to take a large enough parking lot and to do farmers markets and things like that
Right.
within the site. Not only are they coming here for business, but they're coming here for other purposes. I'm a little bit, again, not knowing what records you may have. We're looking at the survey of the site as part of it. Do you have title searches? And I'm assuming when you purchase the property, you have a lot of that information available to us. That we're not gonna find easements through the property and things like that.
That's my knowledge.
No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, those are
we
the
have-
kind of things,
yeah.
we wanna do all this due
Yeah, yeah,
diligence
no,
up
we're-
front
yeah, we're
before we
good.
hit a roadblock. To say, you know what, we just spent a lot of your money and we can't do.
Yeah,
So we're gonna do a lot of due diligence up front. What kind of information do you have regarding utility connections that we can build on to rather than, looking at. Wondering where that 300 feet is gonna come from. Are we gonna make improvements along that route other than putting a pipe in the ground?
right,
Is there gonna be sidewalk enhancements? Is there gonna be landscaping along the boulevard, lighting, things like that, that you may wanna consider doing at the same time?
Mhm.
Part of this overall enhancement and revitalization program.
Well, it seems that if we're gonna put in a town hall, that should have the correct lighting in it.
No, I'm talking about
It's a
the
sidewalk.
300 feet, yeah,
Yeah,
coming to
yeah.
it as well.
No, it definitely, you're right. It definitely, we are trying to make Pine Plains respectable looking place and, get stuff back in the center of town again. I mean, you see where we are here, how far we are. We're about almost 2 miles from the center of town.
Right,
So,
because I think I went through, when I came to drop off the proposal. And now we came from another way, I said, where is the omelet that we passed?
Well, did you blink your eyes?
Actually, it was nice working, first when I moved in United States from Italy, I used to be in Homer, New York. It's a village, it's central New
Just
York.
there this week. Yeah, you go.
Yep, yeah, it's nice village there, so I kind of like this kind.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have anything? These gentlemen? Good. We thank you for coming.
Thank you. And if you go that way, you will.
We'll go back. I told you, came around.
There's only one stoplight in town, so look at the stoplight and then you're there.
and do the speed limit.
Oh, that's, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, the company doesn't pay for speed limit. Speed tickets are
Speed
work.
infraction.
Yeah, speed infraction during work.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
guys very much. We'll see you
Oh,
again.
thank you,
Can we
appreciate
leave
your
this with
time.
you?
Absolutely.
We can't sell it to anybody else.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys let us know any additional questions.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure, right?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in